So today is going to be a video that I have done before at the very beginning of my channel, so like almost a year ago now. And it is going to be a soft spoken reading video. So yeah, it's just going to be very chill, very relaxed. Nothing that you need to do. I am filming in the daytime, so I apologise for any background noise. That is always the risk with filming in the day, which is why I usually film at night. But I was reading, so I thought might as well make the video while I'm here. So last time I was reading a Doctor Who book called The Stone Rose, which I've actually finished now. It took me a while, but I did it. Today I'm going to be reading Red, White and Royal Blue by, I hope I say this right, Casey McQuiston. I have never heard their name said out loud, but I absolutely love this book. This is my second time reading it, and if you haven't read it, highly recommend it. It's very good. It's really good. And they're making a film of it, which hopefully comes out soon. Although they haven't updated us in a while, so this is my copy. I got it from a charity shop, so it's quite worn. But I do have a nice copy over there, which is hardback. It's like the special edition. It's signed and it's beautiful. But I was reading this edition, so this is the one we're going to choose today. Red, white, and royal blue. This book is all over TikTok, but believe the hype, because it's genuinely a really good book. The book gives me Young Royals vibes. It's sort of some other things I've read. It's very good. It's got some explicit scenes, so maybe don't read it if you're a younger person. I don't know. But yeah. I was halfway through chapter 9. This is my Gaze the Word bookmark. I've also got my cat sleeping just off screen there. I stopped here. There was a nice break in the dialogue in the chapter, page 252, chapter 9. Let's begin. Oscar may be the cook of the family, but Alex's mum was the one who grilled. It didn't always track in Pemberton Heights. His Mexican dad in the house diligently soaking a tres leches, while his blonde mum stood out in the yard flipping burgers. But it worked. Alex determinedly picked up the best from both of them, and now he's the only one here who can handle racks of ribs while Oscar does the rest. The kitchen of the lake house faces the water, always smelling like citrus and salt and herbs, and his dad keeps it stocked with plump tomatoes and clay soft avocados when they're visiting. He's standing in front of the big open windows now, 3 racks of ribs spread out on pans on the counter in front of him. His dad is at the sink, shucking ears of corn and humming along to an old Chanty record. Sorry if I say anything wrong. Brown sugar, smoked paprika, onion powder, chili powder, garlic powder, cayenne pepper, salt, pepper, more brown sugar. Alex measures each one out with his hands and dumps them into the bowl. Down by the dock, June and Nora are embroiled in what looks like an improvised jousting match, charging at each other on the backs of inflatable animals with pool noodles. Henry is tipsy and shirtless and attempting to referee, standing on the dock with one foot on a piling and waving a bottle of shiner around like a madman. Alex smiles a little to himself, watching them, Henry and his girls. So, should I do accents? So you want to talk about it? Says his father's voice in Spanish from somewhere to his left. Alex jumps a little, startled. His dad has relocated to the bar a few feet down from him, mixing up a batch of cotija and crema and seasonings for elotes. I've got no idea. Has he been that obvious already? About Raf? Alex exhales, his shoulders dropping, and returns his attention to the dry rub. Ah, that motherfucker, he says. They've only broached the topic in passing, obscenities over text since the news broke. There's a mutual sting of betrayal. Do you have any idea what he's thinking? I don't have anything kinder to say about him than you do, and I don't have an explanation either, but... He pauses thoughtfully, still staring. Alex can sense him weighing out several thoughts at once, as he often does. I don't know. After all this time, I want to believe there's a reason for him to put himself in the same room as Jeffrey Richards, but I can't figure out what. Alex thinks about the conversation he overheard in the housekeeper's office, wondering if his dad is ever going to let him in on a full picture. He doesn't know how to ask without revealing that he literally climbed into a bush to eavesdrop on them. His dad's relationship with Luna has always been like that, grown-up talk. Alex was at the fundraiser for Oscar's Senate run, where they first met Luna. Alex only 15 and already taking notes. Luna showed up with a pride flag unapologetically stuck in his lapel. Alex wrote that down. Why'd you pick him? Alex asked. Alex is from Texas, and I'm like, should I do a southern accent? Probably not. Why'd you pick him? Alex asked. I remember that campaign. We met a lot of people who would have made great politicians. Why wouldn't you pick someone easier to elect? You mean why'd I roll the dice on the gay one? I'm not going to do a Spanish accent. Alex concentrates on keeping his face neutral. I wasn't going to put it like that, he says, but yeah. Rafa would tell you his parents kicked him out when he was 16. Alex winces. I knew he had a hard time before college, but he didn't specify. Yeah, they didn't take the news so well. He had a rough couple of years, but it made him tough. The night we met him, it was the first time he'd been back in California since he got kicked out, but he was damn sure going to come in to support a brother out of Mexico City. It was like when Zara showed up at your mum's office in Austin and said she wanted to prove the bastards wrong. You know a fighter when you see one. Yeah, Alex says. There's another pause of Chenti, crooning in the background while his dad stirs before he speaks again. You know, he says, that summer I sent you to work on his campaign because you're the best man I got. I knew you could do it, but I really thought there was a lot you could learn from him too. You got a lot in common. Alex says nothing for a moment. I gotta be honest, his dad says, and when Alex looks up again, he's watching the window. But I thought a prince would be more of a candy ass. Alex laughs. I don't know what a candy ass is. Is that an American phrase? The sway of his back under the afternoon sun. He's tougher than he looks. Not bad for a European, his dad said. Better than half the idiots June's brought home. Alex's hands freeze, and his head jerks back to his dad, who's still staring with his heavy wooden spoon, face impartial. Half the girls you've brought around too. Not better than Nora, though. She'll always be my favourite. Alex stares at him till his dad finally looks up. What? You're not as subtle as you think. I don't know, Alex sputters. I thought you might need to, have a Catholic moment about this or something. His dad slaps him on the bicep with the spoon, leaving a splatter of creamer and cheese behind. Have a little more faith in your old man than that, eh? A little appreciation for the patron saint of gender-neutral bathrooms in California. Little shit. Okay, sorry, Alex says, laughing. I just know it's different when it's your own kid. His dad laughs too, rubbing a hand over his goatee. It's really not. Not to me, anyway. I see you. Alex smiles again. I know. Does your ma know? Yeah, I told her a couple weeks ago. How'd she take it? I mean, she doesn't care that I'm bi. She kind of freaked out. It was him. There was a PowerPoint. That sounds about right. She fired me, and She told me if I need to figure out if the way I feel about him is worth the risk. Well, is it? Alex groans. Please, for the love of God, do not ask me. I'm on vacation. I want to get drunk and eat barbecue in peace. His dad laughs ruefully. You know, in a lot of ways, your mum and me were a stupid idea, but I think we both knew it wouldn't be forever. We were both too fucking proud, but God, that woman. Your mother is, without question, the love of my life. I'll never love anyone else like that. It was a wildfire, and I got you and June out of it. Best things that ever happened to an old asshole like me. That kind of love is rare. Even if it was a complete disaster. He sucks his teeth, considering. Sometimes you just jump and hope it's not a cliff. Alex closes his eyes. Are you done with dad monologues for the day? You're such a shit, he says, throwing a kitchen towel at his head. Go put the ribs on, I want to eat today. He calls after Alex's back. You two better take the bunk beds tonight. Santa Maria is watching. They eat later that evening. Big piles of elotes, pork tamales with salsa verde, a clay pot of frijoles charros, ribs. I've never heard of these things in my life. Henry gamely piles his plate with some of each and eyeballs it. Henry gamely piles his plate with some of each and eyeballs it, as if waiting for it to reveal its secrets to him, and Alex realises Henry has never eaten barbecue with his hands before. Alex demonstrates and watches with poorly concealed glee as Henry gingerly picks up a rib with his fingertips and considers his approach, cheering as Henry dives in face first and rips a hunk of meat off with his teeth. This is very upsetting to read as a vegan. He chews proudly, a huge smear of barbecue sauce across his upper lip and the tip of his nose. His dad keeps an old guitar in the living room, and June brings it out on the porch so the two of them can pass it back and forth. Nora, one of Alex's chambres thrown over her bikini, floats barefoot in and out, keeping all their glasses filled from a pitcher of sangria brimming with white peaches and blackberries. They sit around the fire pit and play old Johnny Cash songs. Selena, Fleetwood Mac. Alex sits and listens to the cicadas and the water and his dad's rough ranger voice. And when his dad slumps off to bed, June's songbird one. He feels wrapped up and warm, turning slowly under the moon. He and Henry drift to a swing at the end of the porch, and he curls into Henry's side, buries his face in the collar of his shirt. Henry puts an arm around him, touches the hinge of Alex's jaw with his fingers that smell like smoke. June plucks away at Annie's song. You fill up my senses like a night in a forest. And the breeze keeps moving to meet the highest branches of the trees, and the water keeps rising to meet the bulkheads, and Henry leans down to meet Alex's mouth, and Alex is so in love he could die. Alex falls out of bed the following morning with a low-grade hangover, and one of Henry's swimsuits tangled around his elbow. They did technically sleep in separate bunks. They just didn't start there. Over the kitchen sink, he chugs a glass of water and stares out the window, the sun blinding and bright on the lake, and there's an incandescent little stone of certainty at the bottom of his chest. It's this place. The absolute separation from DC, the familiar old smells of cedar trees and dried chili de arbol, the sanity of it, the roots. He could go outside and dig his fingers into the springy ground and understand anything about himself. And he does understand, really. He loves Henry, and it's nothing new. He's been falling in love with Henry for years, probably since he first saw him in the glossy print on the pages of J14. Almost definitely since Henry pinned Alex to the floor of a medical supply closet and told him to shut the hell up. That long. That much. He smiles as he reaches for a frying pan because he knows it's exactly the kind of insane risk he can't resist. By the time Henry comes wandering into the kitchen in his pyjamas, there's an entire breakfast spread on the long green table, and Alex is at the stove, flipping his dozenth pancake. Is that an apron? Alex flourishes towards the polka dot dotted thing he's got on over his boxers with his free hand, as if showing off one of his tailored suits. "Morning, sweetheart." "Sorry," Henry says. "I was looking for someone else. Handsome, petulant, short. Not pleasant until after 10 a.m. Have you seen him?" "Fuck off. 5'9" is average." Henry crosses the room. "That's true. I'm 5'5". Henry crosses the room with a laugh and nudges up behind him at the stove to peck him on the cheek. "Love, you and I both know you're rounding up." It's only a step on the way to the coffee maker, but Alex reaches back and gets a hand in Henry's hair before he can move, pulling him into a kiss on the mouth this time. Henry huffs a little in surprise, but returns it fully. Alex forgets, momentarily, about the pancakes and everything else, not because he wants to do absolutely filthy things to Henry, maybe even with the apron still on, but because he loves him. And isn't that wild? To know that that's what makes the filthy things so good. "I didn't realise this was a jazz brunch," says Nora's voice suddenly, and Henry springs backwards so fast he almost puts his arse in the bowl of batter. She sidles up to the forgotten coffee maker, grinning slightly at them. "That doesn't seem sanitary," June is saying with a yawn as she folds herself into a chair at the table. "Sorry," Henry says sheepishly. "Don't be," Nora tells him. "I'm not," Alex says. "I'm hungover," June says as she reaches for the pitcher of mimosas. "Alex, you did all this." Alex shrugs, and June squints at him, bleary but knowing. That afternoon, over the sounds of the boat's engine, Henry talks to Alex's dad about the sailboats that jut up from the horizon, getting into a complex discussion on outboard motors that Alex can't hope to follow. He leans back against the bow and watches, and it's so easy to imagine it. A future Henry who comes to the lake house with him every summer, who learns how to make elotes, and ties neat cleat hitches and fits right into place in his weird family. They go swimming, yell over one another about politics, pass the guitar around again. Henry takes a photo of himself with June and Nora, one under each arm and both in their bikinis. Nora is holding his chin in one hand and licking the side of his face, and June has her fingers tangled up in his hair and her head in the crook of his neck, smiling angelically at the camera. He sends it to Pez and receives anguished key smashes and crying emojis in response, and they all almost piss themselves laughing. It's good. It's really, really good. Alex lies awake that night, drunk on Shiner and way too many campfire marshmallows, and he stares at holes in the wood panel of the top bunk and thinks about coming of age out here. He remembers when he was a kid, freckly and unafraid, when the world seemed like it was blissfully endless, but everything still made perfect sense. He used to leave his clothes in a pile on the pier and dive headfirst into the lake. Everything was in its right place. He wears a key to his childhood home around his neck, but he doesn't know the last time he actually thought about the boy who used to push it into the lock. Maybe losing the job isn't the worst thing that could have happened. He thinks about roots, darling, roots. About first and second languages. What he wanted when he was a kid and what he wants now, and where those things overlap. Maybe that place, the meeting of the two, is here somewhere, in the gentle insistence of the water around his legs, crude letters carved with an old pocket knife, the steady thrum of another person's pulse against his. "Edge," he whispers. "You awake?" Henry sighs. "Always." They sneak through the grass in hushed voices past one of Henry's PPOs dozing on the porch, racing down the pier, shoving at each other's shoulders. Henry's laugh is high and clear, his sunburned shoulders bright pink in the dark, and Alex looks at him, and something so buoyant fills up his chest that he feels like he could swim the length of the lake without stopping for air. He throws his t-shirt down at the end of the pier and starts to shuck his boxers, and when Henry arches an eyebrow at him, Alex laughs and jumps. "You're a menace," Henry says when Alex breaks back to the surface, but he only hesitates briefly before he's stripping out of his clothes. He stands naked at the edge of the pier, looking at Alex's head and shoulders bobbing in the water. The lines of him are long and languid in the moonlight, just skin and skin and skin lit soft and blue, and he's so beautiful that Alex thinks this moment, the soft shadows and pale thighs and crooked smile, should be the portrait of Henry that goes down in history. There are fireflies winking around his head, landing in his hair, a crown. His dive is infuriatingly graceful. Can't you ever just do one thing without having to be so goddamn extra about it? Alex says, splashing him as soon as he surfaces. That is bloody rich coming from you, Henry says, and he's grinning like he does when he's drinking in a challenge. Like nothing in the world pleases him more than Alex's antagonizing elbow in his side. I don't know what you're talking about, Alex says, kicking over to him. They chase each other around the pier, race down to the lake's shallow bottom, and shoot back up in the moonlight. All elbows and knees, Alex finally manages to catch Henry around the waist, and he pins him, slides his wet mouth over the thudding pulse of Henry's throat. He wants to stay tangled up in Henry's legs forever. He wants to match the new freckles across Henry's nose to the stars above them and make him name the constellations. Hey, he says, his mouth right up in a breath space from Henry's. He watches a drop of water roll down Henry's perfect nose and disappear into his mouth. Hi, Henry says back, and Alex thinks, God damn, I love him. It keeps coming back to him, and it's getting harder to look into Henry's soft smiles and not say it. He kicks out a little to turn them in a slow circle. You look good out here. Henry's grin goes crooked and a little shy, dipping down to brush against Alex's jaw. Yeah? Yeah, Alex says. He twists Henry's wet hair around his fingers. Glad you came this weekend, Alex hears himself say. It's been so intense lately, I really needed this. Henry's fingers give a little jab to his ribs, gently scolding. You carry too much. His instinct has always been to shoot back. No, I don't. Or, I want to. But he bites it back and he says, I know. And he realizes it's the truth. You know what I'm thinking right now? What? I'm thinking about after inauguration, like next year. Taking you back out here, just the two of us, and we can sit under the moon and not stress about anything. Oh, Henry says. That sounds nice, if unlikely. Come on, think about it, babe. Sorry. That just made me die inside a little bit. Oh, I hate pet names. Next year, my mom will be in office again, and we won't have to worry about winning any more elections. I'll finally be able to breathe. Oh, it'll be amazing. I'll cook meat gas in the mornings, and we'll swim all day and never put clothes on and make out on the pier, and it won't even matter if the neighbors see. Well, it will matter, you know, it will always matter. He pulls back to find Henry's face indecipherable. You know what I mean. Henry's looking at him, and Alex can't shake the feeling that Henry's really seeing him for the first time. He realises it's probably the only time he's ever invited love into a conversation with Henry on purpose, and it must be lying wide open on his face. Something moves behind Henry's eyes. Where are you going with all this? Alex tries to figure out how the hell to funnel everything he needs just to tell Henry into words. June says, I have a fire under my ass for no good reason, he says. I don't know. You know how they always say, take it one day at a time? I think I take it 10 years in the future. Like, when I was in high school, it was all, well, my parents hate each other, and my sister is leaving for college, and sometimes I look at other guys in the shower, but if I keep looking directly ahead, that stuff can't catch up to me. Or if I take this class, or this internship, or this job, I used to think if I pictured the person I wanted to be and took all the crazy anxiety in my brain and narrowed it down to that point, I could rewire it, use it to power something else. It's like I never learned how to just be where I am. Alex takes a breath. And where I am is here with you, and I'm thinking maybe I should start trying to take it day by day and just feel what I feel. Henry doesn't say anything. Sweetheart, the water ripples quietly around him as he slides his hands up to hold Henry's face in both palms, tracing his cheekbones with the wet pads of his thumbs. The cicadas and the wind in the lake are probably still making sounds somewhere, but it's all faded into silence. Alex can't hear anything but his heartbeat in his ears. Henry, Abruptly, Henry shifts, ducking beneath the surface and out of his arms before he can say anything else. He pops back up near the pier, hair sticking to his forehead, and Alex turns around and stares at him, breathless at the loss. Henry spits out lake water and sends a splash in his direction, and Alex forces a laugh. Christ, Henry says, slapping at a bug that's landed on him. What are these infernal creatures? Mosquitoes, Alex supplies. They're awful, Henry says loftily. I'm going to catch an exotic plague. I'm sorry? I just meant to say, Philip is the heir and I'm the spare. And if that nervy bastard has a heart attack at 35 and I've got malaria, whither the spare? Alex laughs weakly again, but he's got a distinct feeling of something being pulled out of his hands right before he could grasp it. Henry's tone has gone light, clipped, superficial. His pressed voice. At any rate, I'm knackered, Henry is saying now, and Alex watches helplessly as he turns and starts hauling himself out of the water and onto the dock, pulling his shorts back up, shivering legs. If it's all the same to you, I think I'll go to bed. Alex doesn't know what to say, so he watches Henry walk the long line of the dock, disappearing into the darkness. A ringing, scooped-out sensation starts behind his molars and rolls down his throat into his chest, down to the pit of his stomach. Something's wrong and he knows it, but he's too afraid to push back or ask. That, he realises suddenly, is the danger of allowing love into this. The acknowledgement that if something goes wrong, he doesn't know how he will stand it. For the first time since Henry grabbed him and kissed him, with so much certainty in the garden, the thought enters Alex's mind. What if it was never his decision to make? What if he got so wrapped up in everything Henry is, the words he writes, the earnest heart sickness of him, he forgot to take into account that that's just how he is all the time with everyone? What if he's done the thing he swore he would never do, the thing he hates, and fallen in love with a prince because it was a fantasy? When he gets back to their room, Henry's already in his bunk and silent, his back turned. In the morning, Henry's gone. Alex wakes up to find his bunk empty and made up, the pillow tucked neatly beneath the blanket. He practically throws the door off its hinges, running out onto the patio only to find it's empty as well. The yard is empty, the pier is empty. It's like he was never even there. He finds a note in the kitchen. Alex had to go early for a family matter, left with the PPOs. Didn't want to wake you. Thank you for everything. Kiss. It's the last message Henry sends him. And that is the end of chapter 9. There we go. Guys, gals, and non-binary pals. I hope my American accent wasn't too awful. Don't take it too seriously. I love this book. I realise I didn't even explain what the book is about. But basically it's the Prince of England, Prince of Wales, basically, and the first son, is that what it's called? The son of the American president. And they fall in love. Which is just a brilliant concept, and I love it. It's all the tropes I love. It's enemies to lovers. It's a fake relationship at the start because they have to pretend to be friends, but then they actually do become friends. Yeah, there's a lot in this I don't understand because it's a lot about American politics, and I mean, British politics baffles me, so how the hell am I going to understand American politics? But yeah, very, very excited for the movie to come out. Hopefully soon, hopefully this summer, maybe autumn, I don't know. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know if you'd like more reading videos, other books, because I have many, many books. Can you hear the fan on my computer? It's so annoying. I'm just picking it up right now. I have 200 books or something just in my room, and then many more that my parents own. So if you want anything, I might have the book. And this is a little bonus. Oh, there's Matt Smith. This is a bonus if you made it this far. You get cat content. I'll remember Wolfie from his little cameo. So yeah, I'm currently at 93 subscribers, 7 away from 100. That is crazy. So yeah, if you consider subscribing, that'd be great. I do all sorts of different videos, not just this. And I will see you